Welcome to the second part of the CRUD video series I'm doing here. I'm going to talk about my routes folder and the files in it. So here's my routes folder, got two files. One called guitar.route, another called index.js. Now my index.js is just basically a table of contents. It's going to define the prefix of the route. So for example, I've got an array containing one object here, and the path part is called /guitar. This is what I've decided I want to use to direct somebody to my routes defined in the guitar route file. So if the request coming to the back end is prefixed with a /guitar like this, we're going to hit this index file and we're going to see that, and it's going to say, okay, I see that prefix /guitar, and that tells me that the routes I'm going to use are going to be the guitar route. Now that's just a name I've given up here to the file called /guitar/route. That's the file path actually. The file itself is guitar.route.js. So again, I'm just naming the file guitar route and pointing at that file path. The other thing I'm doing is importing Express. Now, without going too in depth, Express is just what I'm using for my router. So what I need to do in this file is called instantiate the router, and I do that by making a const. I'm just going to call it router, and it's going to equal express.router, and then you invoke it. So again, not going to go too in depth to that. And this commented out stuff is just kind of an example of, let's say I had another routes file called user.route. Usually you make one route file for each table in your database. So I've got a guitars and a user table. So I've got a guitar.route. And in theory, I probably should have a user.route file as well for that other table, user. So if I wanted to do that, I could import it with a name, user route, point at the file, and then maybe I want to put another object with path/user. Route would be user route. And again, this prefix here is something you're deciding. So let's say we want our user on a fictional front-end UI to be able to go to /guitar in the browser and access some of the routes I have defined in the back end. That's what you'd be doing here. Doesn't actually need to be a user hitting the URL. You could also just send a request from your front end with the prefix /guitar. It would hit your back end, and this index file would point it at the route you've defined here. So you'd be pointing it at your routes in this file, guitar.route. So let's take a look at that. Again, you'll notice I'm creating an instance of Express, same way. And then you'll see two sets of routes here. So in order to get to this file, you know that the user or the request has the prefix /guitar. With this empty slash, what I'm saying is if it doesn't contain anything else. So if I have a request coming from /guitar and nothing else, we're going to hit this router set of methods. So let's talk about these. So if it's a post request, I am going to tell the post request coming to here that I want you to use the guitar controller, and then the method or function name is this part. So guitar controller is something I've given a name to up here, and I'm basically just importing the file from my controllers directory, guitar.controller.js, and I'm naming it guitar controller. So again, if I go to a route prefixed with /guitar and nothing else, I'm going to hit this set, and if I make it a post request, it's going to hit this .post part, and it's going to go, okay, where do I go if I see that? I go to guitar controller, which is this file, guitar.controller, and run the method or function called createGuitar. And same with the get. If it's a get request, I'm going to go to get guitars. And I should mention that it doesn't necessarily need to be named get here. This could be any function I want. I'm just going to put whatever I want inside of these parentheses. Now here, you probably know this, but the :ID doesn't actually mean a literal part of the path. So again, the prefix to get to this file is /guitar. And this represents the presence of an ID in the path, not actually the character's :ID. So for my database, I'm using numbers for my IDs, so like a 3 and a 4. So let's say I wanted to hit this set of routes, I could put like a 3 or like a 4. So if I get a request that has /guitar, we're going to go to the guitar routes, we're going to go here, we're going to look at the next part of the path. If it's nothing, we're going to go to this set. If it has an ID, in this case a number, we're going to go to the next set. And you probably have to do some other stuff on the front end or wherever's making this request to tell the path that you're passing in an ID variable. So anyway, we're not going to go too in depth, but the next video we do, we'll go over the controller functions.